So I feel like I got a little bit early, but I don't think I'm gonna reach the sunrise. Hopefully I do, but it's also getting I'm still waking up, but the sun comes up a lot later throughout the day or in the morning, and so it's a little bit more difficult. Feels like it's really dark right now, but I had a lot of nightmares, or like a couple nightmares, or I mean, I don't. Well, one of them was that we were going on a road trip or something in the snow, and whoever I was going with said, you know, I had to take my dog with me, so it was like, hey, you can just leave him in the back of the bed, and I was like, obviously like, no, you know. And once we got in the car, I realized that he wasn't in the car with us, which I'm sure I wouldn't let that happen, but it's the dream. That's how it played out. And I look in the back, and he's in the back while it's snowing, trying to hold himself and together. And he was just like he had no balance, and I don't know. I just felt super bad. Obviously, we ended up pulling over, and I brought him in. He was shaking, and then I woke up, or I went to another dream. But then the other dream was like a continuation of another dream where I went to go look at a house, and I had remembered that I had looked at a house before, and I was like, dude, this looks so scary. And it's like, what if somebody pops up or something like that, right? So I go into this house, and it looked obviously abandoned, and I go in through a window, and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, man, there's like, it feels really creepy around here. And I start trying to go upstairs, and this little girl with black eyes pops out. But I jumped, but I didn't freak out at that moment. But I was just like, because throughout my life growing up as a kid, you know how the monsters in the closet or monsters under the bed, like anytime I felt something like that, I would go to it. Like I would open up the closet if I felt like there was somebody there, and nobody was there. I looked under the bed if I felt like there was somebody under the bed. On a tangent, do you remember Little Monsters, where you'd go under the bed and that was access, like a portal access to their world? Oh man, I completely forgot about that. And that kind of brings, I'm just going off on all kinds of tangents, but that brings me up to a conversation I had with my buddy. And we were just talking about, like, a lot of the habits that we have growing up were a result of the experiences we had growing up. And a lot of things we might not like about ourselves had to do with stuff that happened in our childhood, right? So he was asking me about him trying to figure those things out, and I told him I've been able to figure some of them out, and the way I figured them out was by continually asking myself questions for that specific trait that I don't like about myself. And I told him I learned that from, so like for me, I would just get triggered, you know. There'd be like different things that would just trigger me, and so I would just ask myself, like, why did I get triggered at that moment? What was I feeling? And the key thing is understanding that you have to ask yourself those questions lots of times. It's not going to happen within one or two times. You have to continually, every time you have that trigger, in my case, you want to keep asking, why did I get triggered? What am I feeling? Blah, 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 you know. And then you start figuring out, little by little, you start following the trail of history. And for me, like, a lot of those triggers were my dad and my sister, you know. And I always wanted to be a people pleaser. I always wanted to be perfect at everything. And I just, for some reason, I just didn't like that about myself, because I just didn't feel like that was me. And I just continued asking myself, and then I started figuring out situations that I had with my dad or my sister, that I remembered how I would get triggered back then. But yeah, anyway, so I told him that I figured that out because one of my roommates would go to TJ, that's Tijuana for you people who don't know, in Mexico, and she had this like hypnotist or therapist or something, right? And so I went, and I guess she tried to hypnotize me, but for some reason it didn't work on me. But she gave me this piece of advice that I think helped me. It was the same thing, like asking. She's the one that told me about asking myself questions about everything. And she gave me an example in her case where she was always eating really fast. Every time she would eat so fast. And she just kept asking herself, why am I eating fast? And then she just continued the history path, and she would figure out little by little, and then until it finally hit her that when she was growing up, her parents always rushed her, because I guess they would always rush to go to work and rush to take her to school. And they would always tell her, hurry up, you gotta eat, hurry up. And as kids, we don't know, we just listen, and then we just continue those habits. If you're doing that every single day for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, it just becomes a habit, and you just think it's normal. So yeah, I don't know how I got off on that, but I went from one thing to another, and I'm just still waking up and walking this little dog barefoot, getting that grounding in. But yeah, that's this is my day 3, October 3rd, I think, if it is day 3, because 1st, 2nd, 3rd, I think, yeah, 2025. So I'll let you guys know the lake is coming, so I gotta take some time and be present in that, and then hopefully when I start getting home I can see the sun and get excited, until we don't see any sun and we just start seeing winter. Can't see the sun, but look at that sunrise, those clouds. Still a beautiful scene. Just enjoying it right now that I can, because winter's coming. All right, let's be grateful. I'm grateful for not having those dreams be true. I'm grateful that I was able to wake up out of that dreams. I'm glad that this little dude is not freezing his ass off on the back of a truck, because I would never do that to him. Just grateful right now that I was able to take a deep breath, that I'm breathing, and that I could walk barefoot today. All right, let's choose to be happy today.